And those, like Yogananda, like I mentioned, he says that don't try to make too much of a difference in the world. Don't lose your soul to try to save too many others. Don't sacrifice your own peace of mind. But he doesn't say not to. And, like Jesus says that love your enemies, but he doesn't say that you don't have enemies. He says that's how you fight them, is to love them. That's how I interpret that. So, I just wanted to make that point. And I have a new radio show that just started Thursdays. And if you want to check out the website for the information, that's liberationstation.weebly.com.
All right, man. I thank you for the call. Obviously, somebody who's into the occult, and I have no problem with that, to be honest. If you're going to be outwardly into this stuff, that's fine. That's your choice of religion. I just don't appreciate it when people pose as, Christian conservatives and then are into the occult. And on the flip side of that Tony Blair comment, he talking about the white light. So obviously we're talking about white and black magic and the division in the occultic community. If you watch, for instance, Alex Jones's Order of Death, there are people outside of the Bohemian Grove doing white magic rituals to try to, circumvent the black magic that's going on, or the black magic that they perceive to be going on inside the Grove. Maybe, Tony Blair is a white magician. I mean, maybe that's what he believes. Maybe he's not into the black magic. That could be the other end of the spectrum. Who knows? Maybe he's into or talks about the white magic while being into the black magic to try to co-opt the white magic movement. I don't know enough about it. I just know they're into it, and I know some of their symbology based on other people's research. I'm just a regular old dude in a polo shirt and a tap-out hat, my friend. Let's go to Lori. Lori, you're on the air.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Good.
I was actually just calling. I live in a tiny town in Michigan, and we've been emailing the city council members of our town to get the fluoride out of our water. Well,
Excellent.
We didn't really get a response. They kept blowing us off, sending us different emails to send it to, so on and so forth. So just a couple days ago on the cover of our newspaper, there's an article saying they're considering taking fluoride out of the water.
Well, it shows that you can have an effect, see?
Yeah, and I just want to let people in southeastern Michigan know that Algonac is considering taking the fluoride out of the water, and if our small town can do it, hey, maybe even Detroit will one day do it, since we're so broke we have to close down schools every other day.
Sounds like they might actually increase the fluoride due to that. However, I would say this, don't stop now. Now that you have a cover story, you have some more momentum, go at it full force and make sure it happens. Don't sit on your laurels. This is how we have a proactive effect on what goes on in this country, this world, your community, your town. We can change things locally. Thank you so much for that uplifting call. You see, you can have an effect. You take an issue, you go with it, you go at it hardcore. Now it's on the front of the paper. You got to push even harder. Let's go to Amy in Pennsylvania. Amy, you're on the line.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to go over some things that I just wondered if you guys had any idea about the UFO phenomenon. And do you know anything about Philip Schneider?
Yeah, I've seen the Philip Schneider lecture, sure. I mean, what do you want to know about the UFO stuff? I mean, for me...
Well, I mean, hold on.
Yeah, but he's also talking about underground bases and all this stuff, which do exist. And then he talks about... And, I'm going to try to say this without sounding too hokey for those people who don't know who Philip Schneider is. But Philip Schneider talks about a shootout with gray aliens after one of the walls that they were tunneling out at one of these facilities broke down, and this whole alien community was supposedly there, and only 2 or 3 people, I think he says, survive, including himself, and he also claims to have this huge scar across his chest. Now, Philip Schneider is no longer with us. I think I saw a lecture that he gave maybe 1 or 2 years before he actually died, and apparently he died of cancer, which he claims is from the radiation of the weapon that he was hit with. But I don't take hearsay. I've watched the alien autopsy videos. I've watched all the other videos that supposedly show aliens. I've watched probably more UFO footage than I would say 95 to 99% of the population, because it was something I was not only into as a preteen and teenager, but well into my 20s. I read the Majestic 12 documents. Those are out there. Whether they're real or not, I don't know. I stick to what I can prove, and quite frankly, I think there is a huge amount of disinformation about UFO technology and extraterrestrials. And you know what? I'm going to go into that even further, Amy. Stay on the line on the other side, because I do think it's important. I'm not looking to try to alienate everybody, but I don't want to give people bad information or information that is going to harm the movement when we're really trying to, go after actual political leaders and their disgusting foreign and domestic policies. We'll be back after this. It's the Info Warrior. All right, folks, we are back, and we're talking UFOs with Amy. Now, I'm going to show you guys right here on PrisonPlanet.tv what I think is the best case for UFOs that may be outside of, U.S. intelligence or, black ops projects, or classified technology. I'll say this as well. From the beginning of cameras and camcorders, there are some interesting videos out there, especially I think there's one from like the 1890s of this UFO out in Brazil. All of it is very interesting. Now, what I'm about to show is there's some work on it by a guy named David Sereda, who does some really, really interesting things. Now, this is the NASA tether incident. And the NASA tether incident, literally hundreds of UFOs, some of which are estimated to be, 2 to 3 miles in size, are passing a NASA tether that breaks away from one of the ships. There's one of it right there. They move behind it. They seem to go in and out of reality, I guess you could say. In other words, they fade in and out. It's not just them going across, and literally hundreds of them as they zoom out. So I am very open to, what these could be, but I do not like jumping to conclusions, and I really do feel like Fox and other mainstream media outlets, especially Hollywood, have pumped into our brains that gray aliens exist, and they are our masters. I mean, you just look at Indiana Jones, and they've even updated the story. Now they're not just, gray aliens from outer space. They're interdimensional aliens that look like the Greys, and they are our masters. They actually created us. And there are movements out there that say that alien life created us and they are our gods. I expect people to be very wary of all this information, but go take a look at it. And then go take a look at Project Bluebeam, the declassified U.S. plot to fake an alien invasion in this country to bring about a global order. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that my brother, he works for NOAA, and I asked him about the chemtrails one day, and he said that he knows all about that, and he said that the NOAA is not doing chemtrails. It must be some secret organization doing chemtrails. The other thing I wanted to tell you was I did see a UFO personally up close, and I actually called UFO hunters about it. It was kind of freaky. I saw a helicopter chasing it.
Well, listen, I think UFOs exist, by the way. They're just unidentified flying objects. I don't know who's in them, what's in them, whether they're UAVs. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing, okay? It's a secret thing that they're covering up just like they're trying to cover up everything else. And it's all together. The underground bases, the FEMA prison camps, it's all secret.
Well, you know what? I think that the FEMA camps are quite different from the underground bases, and let me tell you why. Because the FEMA camps, or let me say why. Because the FEMA camps are where, your average military, your average DHS, your average government workers are going to haul lots of U.S. citizens. You know what I'm saying? In other words, massive roundups. Most people will know that the FEMA camps exist. The underground bases, God knows what goes on down there. That is a big point. I'm not saying I pretend to know what's going on in these underground bases. We don't know. I hope it's not as crazy as, say, what they put out in the Resident Evil movies. I really hope it's definitely not as crazy as what Phil Schneider proclaims, that there are underground alien civilizations that are just waiting to come up and rule us. I mean, that's some heavy stuff, and I need to see more evidence before I start spouting off about that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I definitely agree with that, but I'm just saying my brother works for NOAA, and he told me that he was driving on his route, and he ended up in front of one of these entrances to one of these underground bases, and the guys behind the barbed wire came out with shotguns, and they're ready to shoot him.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Those things are classified bases. There's very few videos or photographs of what they are, but they literally come up out of a desert. So you don't even know. They come in, so you wouldn't even know where these things exist. Although there are admitted large underground cities in the D.C. area, and I did have the opportunity to actually discuss that with Cynthia McKinney when I did my interview with her for Loose Change Final Cut, and she ended up being in Fabled Enemies. But she said they were massive. She said she couldn't believe it. And, of course, her being in Congress, she was able to go to some of the more open and less classified areas of the underground D.C. cities. Look, underground cities exist, and they are contingency plans for this world government.
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to understand that I think the Bilderberg Group definitely knows about these places. They're probably in on it.
Well, some of them run
budget.
it. If you don't think that Rockefeller knows about underground bases, I mean, Rockefeller is one of these guys, David Rockefeller, that has been going to these Bilderberg meetings every single year. He is a power player. And I think it's obvious that, the 125 most elite members of the world would know about some of this stuff. We'll come back after this. It's the